Hi, my name is Rob McLaughlin, and I have some conflict resolution tips for you. So, there are levels to conflict. Not all conflicts are the same, and it's helpful to think about conflict on three different levels. And this is built on the work of Dr. Jay Rothman. The first level we think about, and we actually hear about it quite a bit, is a resource-based conflict. And what we often think about is, let's say, a forest of trees, and they want to cut the trees down, or it's over some other natural resource. Anything can be a resource. A resource is just something that is there that has potential use. And if it truly is a resource conflict, the truth of the matter is you're probably not even going to realize it as an issue at all. It's not going to manifest or appear as an actual conflict. We experience this all the time, every day, and we just simply fix it. We just deal with it and move on. Where conflicts start to become problematic is when there's an objective or some sort of desired outcome associated with it, because these desired outcomes or objectives are associated with our own interests and needs, what we're wanting. So, for example, a resource might be that forest of trees. It's not about the forest of trees, it's about what people want to do with that forest of trees. Some people may want to cut down the trees and have logs for lumber. Other people might want to leave the habitat as it is for endangered species. Other people may want trails to go through for ATV and recreational use. So it's not about the forest or the trees in and of themselves. It's about the desired use. It's the outcome or the objective of those things. That's where the conflict comes in. And in those type of conflicts, that middle level conflict, objective based conflicts, the way to approach them is, first, you need to just talk about them. You need to discuss and clarify, have a conversation, elicit from the other person what it is to try to get a better understanding of their underlying interests and needs. Then at that point, you can move on and start problem solving. Our number one limitation with conflict resolution quite often is we're trying to fix the problem before we understand what the problem is. You can't fix the problem until you set the problem. You've got to know what the actual underlying issues are, because that is what frames the problem solving approach. Otherwise, you're trying to fix the wrong thing. The third level of conflict is identity based, and these are where you start to really see the strong emotions. And in fact, strong emotions are the red flag. Anytime you see involved with a conflict, strong emotions, that is telling you there's probably some sort of an identity issue going on underneath here. Now, what do I mean by identity? Identity is how we see ourselves, and you can also think about these as the deepest needs in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of need. So things like safety, shelter, food, our image, ego. These are type of things that get involved with an identity-based conflict. And the concern for the person experiencing that conflict is they feel backed in a corner. They feel that their safety or their very life or their ability to provide for their family or to have shelter, there's some very deep level, or how people see and understand them is at threat, at risk, and it's very real to them. So what has to happen before you can even engage in conflict resolution in this type of a situation is you have to let that de-escalate. And you do that by listening. You actually elicit, what do you want me to know? Tell me. Wow, I didn't know that. What else? Man, I wasn't aware of that. Is there more? And just the ability for that person to feel heard and understood, for them to express what these fears and worries are, will actually help a lot of these folks to begin to feel more comfortable. And think about it. You've been in this position too. We've all been there. And a part of what we're struggling so hard to do is we want the other person to get it. We're trying to help them see our perspective. We want them to 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 recognize and acknowledge what we're going through, what our concerns are. And that's why that listening and eliciting those underlying elements are important. So that's where you begin. Let them talk, let it come out. Don't be afraid of the emotion. In any kind of identity based conflict, you're going to have angry, frustrated, upset people. Typically, what happens is we try to repress that. We try to say, calm down, it's okay. Doesn't work. They need to express it. It needs to have a safe space to come out. Only then, once they feel that it's going to be okay, there's some hope here that people will listen and understand. Only at that point in time does it kind of de-escalate and move to the objective level. And at that point, once you've listened and allowed it to de-escalate, at that point, then you can move to the discussion to clarifying the underlying interest and needs. And then you can go ahead and move to a solution, problem solving, but not before, not before. So take a moment, listen, allow that to come out, give them some recognition, let them feel, help them feel that it's going to be okay. And maybe a part of that is that's all you do in the moment. And then the problem solving part is perhaps scheduled for the next day, depending on the situation. The takeaway here is not all conflicts are the same. And for that reason, you cannot engage all conflicts in the same way. There are some that you can just resolve. There are others that you have to have conversation and discussion first before you problem solve. And then the deepest conflicts, those identity based, you have to give room for the emotional expression to come out first. Then, after that point in time, you can begin moving to the more objective level. Let me give you one last example. Imagine I'm holding a pen in my hand, an ink pen, a ballpoint ink pen. Now this pen are made by the millions. It's not a big deal. If you take my pen away, I'll just get another one. It's just the thing. That's a resource. Now imagine that same pen, but this time I'm making notes. I have a legal pad and I'm writing my thoughts out, and it's related to an important project that I'm trying to finish. And you take my pen away. Now I'm irritated because you just interrupted my flow of thought and my activity and what I was trying to accomplish. So now we can't just fix it. We're going to have to talk about it. I want you to understand a little bit what's going on, and I want to know why you took it. Now imagine that same ink pen. But in this scenario, imagine that this pen was my grandfather's, and he gave it to my father, and he gave it to me, and we're all educators. This pen represents who I am as a person. This is how I see myself in legacy and in vocation. You take my pen away and I'm going to be really upset. I'm probably going to go off on you. And you're thinking, what's wrong with him? It's just a pen. So one of the first steps to resolving conflict is this diagnosis of what level you're dealing with. And that in and of itself will help you begin to understand where you need to work on resolving.